Okay, we are live here on Facebook on a little evening session. Um, at a lot of my timeouts we do in the afternoon, but this is awesome. I just got done with, you can see I'm in O'Gorman, the gym at O'Gorman. I just got done. I was at basketball practice over here at O'Gorman, and I got a chance to talk to the boys team afterwards about some things. And it's pretty cool what we got going. Last week I talked to them about impact and not the impact so much that they have on the court, because they're all very good basketball players, high school basketball players, and they're going to have a lot of impact on their team and scoring and all that. But I talked to them about the impact, what type of impact are they leaving in the hallways here at O'Gorman and out in the community. And one of the things that they're doing to impact people over the next few days, they're going around getting pledges. They're doing a free throw challenge where they are, asking for, you to pledge so much for each, 25 cents for each free throw out of 100 they make. And all the money that they raise is going to go to a couple things. One is going to go to help Higher Power Sports distribute Christmas presents. The O'Gorman team has helped me do that for some, kids and families in need. So that's awesome that they're going to help again with that. And, all the money raised will be a tremendous help, because as you can imagine, this year the need is even greater than it has been in the past. So we got a lot of inquiries about how many people we can help. And again, that'll just be a huge help. And the other half, we're going to split it half and half. And the other half is actually going to Alex Roby and his wife. They are adopting a special needs little girl from India. And, with all the COVID stuff, they may have to travel over there 2 or 3 times to get everything finalized. And, you can imagine all the expenses in an adoption. So hopefully we can help them out over the holidays with a donation to help them make that transition easier for them, because it's obviously it costs a lot of money and a lot of just a lot of time and prayer they've put into, and hopefully they can get this little girl back to their house sooner than later. So with that being said, I have a guest today, and we share a few things in common. I think obviously our last names are the same. Andrew Weidenbach joins me, and I was thinking about Andrew on the way over to Sioux Falls today when I was coming over. And Andrew's my cousin, and we don't get to spend a lot of time together, but I was thinking, what's some of the things that I really like and appreciate about Andrew, and the two things that came to mind is Andrew's got a big smile and a big heart, and I think those are pretty special things. So Andrew, where are you joining us from today?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm joining you from Monticello, Minnesota, so kind of outside of the cities, so outside of Minneapolis kind of area. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome, and I hope it's comfortable for you, and you've seen enough of these. We just kind of have a conversation. So let's kind of get into, obviously you're my cousin, but kind of where'd you grow up, and you get to where you're at, and then we'll go into kind of what you're doing.
Yeah, sounds good. So originally grew up in South Dakota, a little bit of a ways from Sioux Falls, but grew up in South Dakota. I was always had a fascination watching my uncles work their hunting dogs, stuff like that, out in the field. I loved watch them work their dogs, and I just kind of developed this fascination in how they could relate to this different species and get this different species to do what they wanted them to do, find the pheasants, bring the pheasants back, stuff like that. So from a very young age, I found myself just watching the dogs, being fascinated by their dogs they had. I remember like Nike and, watching Moses and stuff like that. Those dogs that I grew up with, kind of seeing them and working with them. And I just developed kind of a passion. And from there, I remember I saw a talk with a police canine handler. He brought his dog in to our classroom, and he talked a little bit about his background and what police dogs do and what kind of that service that they provide. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. That's what I want to do. I want to be a police canine handler. So I kind of devoted a lot of my time, a lot of volunteering time, a lot of my time in high school and in college, just outside of my curriculum, even doing things like the police reserves or police explorers, stuff like that. So volunteering a lot with a lot of different agencies and organizations, and that was really cool. I got some hands-on experience working with police handlers and their dogs. And, I went to college for criminal justice and law enforcement. And I kind of started to see there was a little bit of a void in the handlers and their ability to kind of communicate with their dogs. Basically, meaning that there weren't really dog trainers. They were more just like dog handlers, right? These dogs came to them trained, and they were kind of expected to be able to handle these animals. And I thought, well, where do these dogs get trained at? How can you do that? That sounds really cool to me. So fresh out of college, I went to a place in Missouri where I learned about, like things like tracking, or a little bit about narcotics detection, things like protection, so bite work, things like agility, pet obedience, competition level obedience, retrieving work, so working with picking up dumbbells, bringing things back to us. And I was very fortunate and very thankful. I had really good instructors that I could learn from there, who kind of were very patient with people who were new to it. I didn't really have experience. I never owned dogs in my life. I never grew up with dogs. I just kind of grew up watching, people interact with their dogs. So I was very fortunate. They were very patient with me and helping me kind of guide me along. I remember my instructor saying, you're actually a clean slate. You don't have any bad habits you developed yet. So I probably do now, but at the time I was a bit of a clean slate, so I could work with the dogs, and it gave us an ability to, we had to pass the course with 2 dogs. So I have a German Shepherd that I got there as a puppy. Her name is Nisha. She does pretty much everything. She does narcotics detection. At school she did. She does bite work. So she bites like a sleeve on somebody. She does hunting, which is a lot of fun. She loves doing that. We just had a really good hunt this last weekend or two. And then I have a border collie as well, who I like to do agility with, and she does herding with actually a lot of times. So having those dogs and going to school there gave me a lot of opportunities to expand my knowledge in going into, like I said, herding. So while I was down there as well, I volunteered my time at Creana Farms, and that's where I kind of learned about herding and met some really cool people and great people. Robin Reasoner has been a big help with being able to kind of show me how to interact with border collies and kind of more sensitive dogs compared to working with these higher drive Malinois and Dobermans and German Shepherds and stuff like that I worked with at the school, and that's been great. So once I kind of finished up school, I had these 2 dogs with me. I had my German Shepherd and my border collie Faye, and I was kind of like, well, now what do I do? I have my degree in criminal justice, but I didn't really feel at the time that law enforcement was the calling that I thought it was going to be. I felt a little, I don't know, I just felt like maybe I want to expand on the dog training aspect of it and work with dogs more. And that's where I got, I applied kind of all over the Midwest, and was fortunate enough to land here in the cities at a place called Lucky Pets, where I do pet obedience training here. And I've been here since 2018, so I've been here for about 2 years, maybe going on 3. And that's been a great opportunity to kind of learn about canine learning theories, being able to get a lot of hands-on experience working with lots of different dogs, dogs that come in with aggression issues, or dogs that are just happy-go-lucky puppies. I've kind of seen a lot, all aspects of it so far, and I still have a lot more to learn. So I'm super excited to continue on and hopefully keep learning about dog training, and hopefully get more opportunities. And the only way you can do that is just by creating them yourself, make volunteering, trying your best, and we're going from there. So I'm super excited for the future, but I know it's gonna be a lot of work. So
Awesome.
A bit about about my past, I guess.
And I'd like to ask a couple of questions about the dogs that you have currently, if that's all right. And you know, you mentioned a couple things. Different personalities, different characteristics in a dog. I found that interesting, and I think most people out there would also find it very interesting that you didn't grow up with dogs in your house, so to speak, and that passion, how that came about. So interesting. But maybe talk about the different personalities of dogs or traits of dogs that that you've learned about, or things like that.
Yeah, so even between the two that I have in my house, I have a German Shepherd, like I said, and she is more fearful about situations. She has what's called fear aggression. So she responds to stimulus, things that make her nervous, with aggression, making her hackles go up, barking, expressing kind of like, hey, go away, through barking, through growling, stuff like that. Through woofing is kind of a thing we say, where she's like, woof, get away.
Is
And yeah,
is that all her breed, or is it just unique to her, or has she been trained that way?
yeah. So German Shepherds nowadays, so the breeding of the breed has come a long ways. We find now that German Shepherds tend to be a little more fearful than what they used to be. That just comes from generations of trying to breed in traits that we like. So we like this way they look, where they have that brown and that black spot on the back. We want them to look this certain way, but in doing that, we kind of can tend to create behaviors and that we don't necessarily want in our dogs. So Nisha was naturally kind of predisposed to having these things. If you look at breeding, so if we had just a litter of puppies, 1 through 3, 1 would be super confident, would be just go headstrong to everything. 3 would be super scared of everything, and the one in the middle would be the ideal dog that we would want. Has some suspicion, but is also very confident meeting new people, stuff like that. So Nisha wasn't trained to be naturally suspicious of people. She just kind of had that genetic predisposition to her, which is pretty common when we're looking at dogs like German Shepherds and Malinois, dogs that are designed for kind of protection work, or guarding dogs. Like Cane Corsos are very naturally suspicious. Doesn't mean they're bad dogs, just means that they kind of require a different level of understanding. So when we're looking at maybe if someone's looking to get a German Shepherd, I'd have to say, well, look at what's your expectation of this dog. Do you want a really happy-go-lucky family pet you can bring to the brewery all the time and expect random strangers to come and pet it and love it? Okay, that might not be the breed for you then, right? Or do you want Or do you want a dog that can kind of, alert you when there's people outside your house? Do you care about it barking at people? Does that scare you? Will you know what to do when that happens? Stuff like that. So having that expectation of what the breed is definitely key going forward if you're looking into getting a dog. So even if, like, the prime example is a husky. People love huskies because they look like that. They have that northern breed. They have that beautiful look. They have this, they almost look like wolves. But at the end of the day, people want to come home after work, sit down, drink a beer, and relax. They don't really want to necessarily spend time with their dogs. If you're the person who does want to spend time with your dogs and put go running with them or something like that, then yeah, maybe a husky would be a good fit for you. But having the expectation of kind of what breed would fit me best. So at school, we like to have the higher drive dogs, German Shepherds. So I went with a German Shepherd, and then I went with the Border Collie because I've always liked them. They're also working dogs. Yeah, they're not a protection dog, but they're a working dog. They're a herding dog. And those dogs need jobs too. You can't just expect, just because they're smaller or just because they don't necessarily have that history of being like a working type of dog in war or stuff like that, doesn't mean they're not working dogs. Faye she comes from England, actually, so she comes from a long ways away, and I got her from a place in Kansas. And her job is to do obedience demonstrations at work, and also to do the herding and stuff like that. So that's kind of the reason why I picked those two breeds going forward. I love both the breeds for their individuality. I've learned so much from Nisha not being the perfect dog. She's not the perfect dog. She has a lot of fear, a lot of issues that were created even before I even got her at 10 weeks old. They're very, very impressionable as puppies. And just having that alone can set your dog up for a lifetime of whatever it would be. My dog has fear issues. I know that. I recognize that. I don't expect her to be this happy-go-lucky, lovable, super friendly with kids or at the brewery. I don't take her there. I don't expect her to do that stuff. So I love her to death, but she does help me learn to be patient with them and learn to be patient with dogs, because it's definitely a challenge working with her, mostly in public settings, but when we're together, she does really great with just responding to what I'm asking of her and working through that. So I kind of went off on a different path, but I answered your question right about, yeah, this is a very common theme. I'm going to go down rabbit holes. I apologize. It's get pretty excited about stuff. I just like talking. And
Doing great. You're doing great. It's fascinating to me. I've had dogs my whole life, and everybody knows the story about Gracie. I've been training her for 100 years to be a therapy dog, and now she can't come with me. So this is all fascinating to me. You mentioned, the different breeds and the expectations as an owner. As a trainer, maybe some of your thoughts on, people that get frustrated with their dogs. It's not always the dog's fault, right?
And it's natural for humans to get frustrated, right? That's how we're social creatures. We express that through that too. What is unfair and what is not a good expectation is if we expect our dogs to do something that we haven't really showed them or taught them, right? So it wouldn't be very fair to get frustrated with my dog if she's not going to sit, but I never trained her on the sit, right? That wouldn't be very fair then. So it's common, it's natural. I get frustrated with the dogs. Yeah, I do. But I always set it up to have a successful session with the dogs that I'm training with. So if I'm dealing with a difficult dog, if I'm dealing with like a dog that has human aggression or severe dog aggression, dogs that are trying to bite me, bite my hands or bite the leash or anything like that, that can be frustrating. But I work through it with understanding that I need to convey stuff to this dog in a way. I need to teach them through going through all the canine learning theories that we'll probably talk a little bit about today. We could talk for hours on that topic alone, and we'll probably hit a little bit about that. And then just always trying to have a successful session with them. You want to have something, you want it to be a positive thing working with you and having and it's difficult because some dogs don't necessarily want to work with you. When you're dealing with a dog that has human aggression, their rewards don't really come from you. It comes from, I get to do my own thing. The dog's purviews is, I get to do whatever I want. That's my reward, not listening to you. So, like I said, just setting it up to be successful. If I am having a difficult time, or I just try to ask something really easy. If I am getting frustrated, ask something really easy of the dog. They do great, awesome, big party. I'm gonna go put the dog up for just a little bit. I'm gonna go relax a little bit, and then I'll go right back into it. Dog training is great in the sense it helps me learn to manage that stuff. If I got frustrated with every time I took a dog, I wouldn't get anywhere in my day then. So the patience aspect has really grown working with the dogs and working with the animals. Even with Nisha, she helps my patience a lot. she's the most difficult dog I've trained, so that's helped my patience a lot. So I have a lot of it built up. So it's pretty rare, but it does happen, and it is natural. And it's important to understand that if you do have your own dog, or you're trying to do your own training, that it is natural. Don't be unfair to them because they don't speak English. You're teaching them what you want of them. So don't be too unfair to them. And if you are getting frustrated, make it a happy note. You can end it, go take a little break, come right back later on when you're in a better mood or whatever, whenever you're like, all right, I'm over that now. So helps you kind of be a little more humble, I guess, when you're working with them, be more patient, because it's tricky. You can't just talk it out with them. You have to show them and work through stuff with them. So
Well, when you decide to become a husband and a father, all that patience work it's going to pay off for you.
well, I don't know. Maybe my girlfriend would think so, but about the patience aspect. But yeah, I hope so too. That it definitely transfers over into everything else too, for sure. It's a great and humbling thing to work with these animals and being able to show people how to work with them better.
Yeah, maybe take us through a day in the life of a dog trainer. What you just throwing out treats when they come in. What, and then maybe talk about who should everybody take their dog to a trainer, or can people train their own? Maybe talk about some of that.
Yeah, great questions. So kind of going back to the first one, day in the life of a trainer would kind of be, just depends on what kind of dogs that I'm working for the day. If I have if I have a big assortment of dogs, then I know I must kind of adjust my training for each individual dog that I have for the day. So if I have a happy-go-lucky puppy, I might start with them, make it a super short, fun session, and then I'm going to gradually move on to my next dogs of the day. And it just depends on kind of how many I have for the day, on budgeting your time throughout the day with training the dogs and also answering the phone calls, answering questions that come up, setting up times with the owners for lessons. I didn't realize when I started dog training, I didn't realize how much of a personable aspect of it was. It's very, I spend, the easy part is training the dogs, teaching them, because I know kind of how they learn and how I'm going to ask the questions to them. Tough part is being able to convey how dogs learn to people who don't have a good relationship with their dogs. And so that's kind of another aspect of the day, would be balancing out the lesson times of people. I usually do about hour or so long lessons with people. Maybe it goes over, and kind of just explaining to them the things I'm seeing with their dog and showing them what we're doing. So we kind of lay the foundation work of the obedience training, and then we show them through the lessons, and then we have them do it during the lessons as well. Is kind of how my day looks, and it varies too. With we were able to take the dogs out of just Lucky Pets. We can go into the public to places that allow dogs and train them there. So places like Runnings and Home Depot and stuff. We could take the dogs there to get them out to generalize the obedience. So dogs are very situational. They kind of learn in little pictures, little snapshots. So if I just trained the dog how to sit in the one room, and I was the only one to do it, and the dog would sit there, but it probably wouldn't sit everywhere else, right? It's not generalized then. So we were able to take them out into public and train them outside of just Lucky Pets and outside of just the one room kind of thing. So that day is getting kind of broken up with that. And it's just all about managing your time with the dogs that you have there, which dog needs more time and which one doesn't, and being able to, we have to take this dog out. Are we generalizing obedience? What am I going to work with the dog? Before I even get the food in the apron and before I even get my collars and stuff ready, I'm thinking, all right, with Fido, I need to train the sit more. I need to train the recall more. I need to do stuff like that. So get ready to go, get my plan kind of set, take the dog out, and I want it to be successful, which is usually nice short sessions with lots of wins for the dog, and then kind of balancing out with the owners, what times work for them on lessons, answering phone calls, stuff like that. So that's kind of the day of the life in dog training. Everyone's different. There's lots of different trainers out there. There's service dog trainers, hunting dog trainers, protection dog trainers. Their days are all going to be different. In the pet training that I'm doing right now, that's kind of what my day looks like. I am lucky enough to use my own dogs at work, so that's pretty cool. I get to take them out too and train them at work, so that's really fun. And then can everybody benefit from training? That's a good question. And can anybody do it themselves? So to break that down, I would say yes, everybody can benefit from training, but it's a little bit about what training is, what what kind of training fits your needs best. Like what do you need? I would say absolutely training is the best thing for dogs and relationships. If I didn't believe that, I wouldn't be doing dog training. It wouldn't be my passion. Um, but there's a little bit of kind of um, understanding that who am I going to be learning from? I think that goes into this. Recommending looking at places that have trained multiple dogs, or what's getting some referrals, friend referrals. Yeah, I got my dog trained there and it was great. Stuff like that. Just being mindful that everybody does it differently. Dog training is not a one size fits all. This is going to be, everybody does it differently. Even me, between the 4 different trainers that I work with, we do it differently between each 4 of us. So being mindful of that's going to be key. You're doing it yourself. That's pretty tricky. That's a tricky question. It depends on what you're looking for. If you're thinking, well, I could train my dog bit somebody, I could work through this stuff. Okay, now you're looking at a little bit more of a complex behavioral issue, dealing with lots of building issues and conflicting issues there. So it depends. I always like when people bring their puppies in and they're asking questions and they want to start young. That's what I always recommend. You start your training right when you get your puppies, when you're starting your training. I've seen it where people do training on their own, and the dog needs to be put down because it developed such severe issues in aggression or in resource guarding, stuff like that, it's kind of just learned these behaviors, and they didn't know what was happening. They thought they were doing the right things, and they were doing a lot of right things, but they weren't seeing the dog, and they weren't really learning how the dog is learning, if that makes any sense. So it's tricky, and you will find a lot of misinformation out there on the internet about dog training. I really recommend, if you want a specific thing, I want my dog to be obedient, or I want my dog to do hunting, going to a professional and asking the questions, and looking out and seeking training through them, compared to doing it online, because there's a lot of miscommunication, a lot of conflicting opinions out there. It's all kind of opinion based when it comes to some aspects of dog training. But that's kind of what I would recommend. I think everybody could benefit from it. It's becoming a little bit more of a commonplace in society to have dogs that are trained. I just saw the Department of Transportation came out with a big law saying dog needs to be trained in order to go on airplanes, stuff like that. Now you could break that down and you could have, well, my dog went to class for a week or whatever, right? So now my dog's trained. So it's kind of gets a little rough on, well, what defines as trained, what doesn't. I won't get into that but I do think everybody could benefit from training. It's definitely one of the ways that helps our dogs have the best relationship with us, is having a dog who can who gets the rewards. Everything awesome comes from me, basically, with my dogs, and they love that. And I love that my dogs like working with me. They don't want to go play with other dogs. They don't want to go play with random strangers. They want to play with me. And that's only developed through doing obedience training and working with them day in and day out. And it's never the biggest thing I see with people deciding to go with training is the expectation of, well, I'm going to pay for 6 weeks of training and now my dog is done. I don't need to do anything else. They're not computers. You can't just send it off, and I can't just plug in a little chip and type on there and fix it. I never fix anything. I only manage behaviors through changing expectations of the owners, and I manage the dog's behaviors. So keeping that in mind is going to be key too. If you are looking for training, that it's going to be a life. If you get a dog, it's a lifelong. It's going to be a commitment for however many years. Having to work with them 6 weeks out of, or however many, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, however many weeks of a program you're looking at, in comparison to 10, 15 years of a dog's life is not very long. So just keeping in mind that training is always constant. It's always something you're always gonna have to work on. I have my German Shepherd's 3 years old, and I still work with. She still breaks or sits sometimes. She still does that stuff. Is it very rare? Yes, it is very rare, but she does it through consistency. But just being mindful that she is an animal. She's not a computer. She's not going to be just fixed anymore. If anybody says to me, well, the trainer says it was going to be fixed, I'd be very leery of someone who says they can fix your dog. They can manage your dog's behaviors through doing training, and they should help you along the way and teach you along the way. It's not magic. If you think it's magic, then your trainer's not doing their job, teaching you of how they're kind of working through this stuff and how they're changing the behaviors and stuff like that. So did that make sense? Kind of, again, big long rabbit hole, but
it really struck me. It's similar to being a teacher or a coach. You're working with the dog, the athlete, or the student. Okay, so and they all learn differently. They all have good days and bad days.
Absolutely.
For that whole thing, the family's got to be part of it too. And the expectation, in basketball, you can't go to a personal trainer for 2 sessions and expect to come and start on a varsity basketball team if you haven't done anything, or golf. You can't just go out and have one lesson and be able to shoot par. And dog training, it takes a while. And that consistency, but then in developing that whole relationship with the family that's going to, the owners, so to speak, of the dog as well. Obviously, there's got to be some in coaching and teaching. There's some tough conversations, with the parents or the owner. There's got to be, how are you comfortable with those?
Oh yeah. You have to be really comfortable with telling people that they're wrong. We have kind of a term we call anthropomorphism, which means giving human-like qualities to animals. So it's pretty common nowadays that people think, oh, this is my fur baby. This is, dress it up in sweaters and kiss it and let it sleep in the bed and eat from my plate or my mouth even, and stuff like that, right? That's just, and thinking, just giving them human-like qualities. And that's kind of a roadblock in teaching people that they are animals still. And it's tough in trying to relate that to people who've had such a strong connection with their dogs. And that's okay to be anthropomorphic in a way, but what we're seeing is it's becoming more and more. And it's tricky because you do have to tell them that what you're doing with your dog. With some dogs can't sleep in the bed. I'm not saying all dogs can't sleep in the bed. I'm saying some dogs don't do well with sleeping in the bed. Now, you have to be able to relay that information to the owner in a way that makes them understand. So saying something like, well, your dog, an example would be this person's dog would pee on their pillow every night. And they'd wake up in the morning and they'd say, he peed on the pillow. He's done this for a year. He's peed on my pillow every night. How can I fix that? Okay, well, one would be don't let him sleep in your bed. The easiest solution would be that, right? Well, I can't do that because he's my baby. I love when he sleeps with me. Okay, well, now we have a different conversation we need to talk about. But being able to express to people and saying, hey, what would be more beneficial for your dog in this situation, and peeing on the pillow, would be having your dog sleep in its own area, so in a kennel. That way it's managing its own, you have a place to put them, a place to kind of manage their behaviors. Dogs are naturally den animals, so they usually tend to enjoy being in their kennels, if it's kind of a travel crate that's a little darker, a little quieter. If the kennel is used as a punishment, then they're not going to enjoy going in there at all, right? That's not a very positive place to be. But if it's used as a positive place, you're putting food in there, you're saying kennel, oh, they go in there, kind of allowing them to come and go as they please in the beginning, and then starting enforcing rules of like, well, you can't come out until I say so, stuff like that, is setting up some rules, setting some boundaries. Now your dog won't pee on your pillow. Peeing on the pillow could be a sign of dominance, a sign of in the wild, the ones that are higher up in the social class to the alpha are the ones that sleep the closest to the alpha. So could be trying to assert dominance through peeing on the pillow. Could be trying to just can't hold it at nighttime. Your pillow has a lot of scent on there from where your face is, stuff like that. But being mindful of everybody's individualism of their dogs and their relationships is definitely key when it comes to dog training. And it's important that you relay the information. It wouldn't be very beneficial if someone said, well, that's okay, let them keep sleeping with you and it'll figure itself out. Or if someone just kept saying like, oh, you're doing a good job, but you're struggling with something, that's not a good teacher, right? Same with coaching. You're not going to teach if a kid's struggling with the 3-point shot, you're not going to keep saying, hey, good job, keep it up, you'll figure it out eventually. No, you're going to have to take a step back. Well, let's break it up. Let's go to the 2-point shot. Let's go to the free throw line. Let's just practice on our form. Okay, now we can work our way back up to the 3-point shot. So it definitely comes with an aspect of having to tell people that they are wrong on stuff. Sometimes they're not, which is awesome, but it's the same thing with teaching. You have to have that ability and that almost confidence in yourself and in your own knowledge to say, this isn't working, but this can work. So we're trying to kind of guide them and show them. Nice thing about training is usually people are, they have already kind of had the issue, like, all right, it's not working. I tried to do it myself, and now I can go to the trainer. I always recommend going before the problem starts. So when they're really young puppies or whatever, starting before the problem. But usually it's pretty nice that people do they are realizing, hey, I'm struggling with this. They can go to a trainer or go try to find a different way to solve the problem. So yeah, that answer your question a little bit.
Cool. We're running a little short on time here, but maybe we can have you back, and because I would really love to talk to you in more depth about the training of your dogs, the difference in those. And then, obviously out here in South Dakota, a lot of hunters. I'd love to hear your thoughts on dog training, hunting training and things like that. So maybe we'll have you back here and we more in depth on those. You earlier, that, you thought about, law enforcement and, now this is your passion. And you're still a young guy, but what's that mean to know that you have a passion and that you're living out that each and every day?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's one that it really only comes with experience, and that's tough because you're gonna learn hard lessons. You're gonna fail. When I was doing law enforcement work, I loved it. It was a lot of fun. It was great. I met a lot of great people in it. But I never really felt that was my success, I guess. When I felt successful was when I would watch people with their dogs. People would come in with issues with their dogs, or they'd have a hard time with their dogs, and then I could help them work through it and build a better relationship between them and their dogs. And when I could see how happy they were about it and how happy the dog was, even that, hey, my owner, there's such a relief in the dogs, almost like my owner's got it under control. I don't need to worry about this stuff as much. I don't have to focus so much on what's going on because my owner's got the rules and the rewards, stuff like that. So just seeing that relationships, that's kind of where I felt like, wow, this feels really good. I feel it's tough to say because it involves a lot of just kind of what makes you feel good about what you're doing, in a sense. Being able to put trust in God. I spent a lot of money going to school and going to college for a degree I don't use. And does that mean I'm not successful? I don't think so. No, I think that's one of the mistakes that people have to learn, and I think it's okay to learn that mistake. It could even be. It doesn't have to be your job per se of what you feel purpose in. I feel purpose helping people with their dogs. I feel purpose watching my dogs be successful. I feel, oh, it feels really good. It could even be with people just being a parent, being a mom, being a dad, being a coach, being a player on a team. What brings you, I guess, that kind of purpose, that success in your mind? Because if you look, if you define success as my bank account, it not doesn't look good. So I guess I refuse to look at success as material aspects and more of how you connect and how you build relationships with others. I don't like talking too much about myself, but one of the biggest successes I feel, it's super random, but I was volunteering at this herding trial one day, and I was out there in the sheep pens working. I'm not doing the glorified job working with the dogs and talking to people, and I'm in the sheep poop. I'm dealing with the sheep. I'm moving the sheep to get in the right spots. They can go out to get worked on the trial, stuff like that. And I was out there all day long in the sun, and I got one kind of lunch thing. And a day or two later, the trial posted on Facebook, a picture of just of me in the sheep pens, kind of just talking a little bit about the trial. And someone commented on there. They said that was the most humble man I've ever met. And I don't remember their name. I don't remember them, but just knowing I had that interaction with that person at that time, and that I was humble to them, to me, that's where I felt the most success coming from. And that's kind of where I strive my success to be, is how can I interact with people in a way to help them with their dogs and to help them guide them, stuff like that. So that's a little bit about kind of what I feel, where I feel success in. The tricky part is it could happen anytime. You could be 50, 60 years old, and you could find your purpose. You could find what that feeling is. And I think it's important to keep failing, and to keep it's kind of a cliche, keep failing, but it's important to go out and to volunteer, to go and take risks, to go and take chances. Because that's the only way you're going to learn that, well, I might not be what I want to do. That's not what I feel is best. And being patient with God is definitely key, because I could tell you at the time when I got done with dog training school, I really felt maybe I should go into law enforcement. This is a path, good career, good. I've wanted to do it all my life. I have so much experience doing this. But I kind of felt, well, maybe I want to learn a little bit about dog training still. I want to learn a little bit more about that right now. I can always go back to that. And that's kind of where I started feeling the passion of helping people with their dogs, and helping their dogs get a better relationship with their owners. And so yeah.
I don't want to put you on the spot here. I during this conversation, I got a text that Byron and Marilyn, they're sponsoring tonight's show. So
Thank you. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
Maybe talk about them and or your girlfriend that you mentioned, kind of doing a 180 on your career path, and how much it meant to have people understand that, and to stick with you through that.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. My mom and my dad, I'm choking up a little bit. My mom and my dad are great. I love everything about how they support me with the dogs, helping me with guiding me along, being patient with me, being patient with allowing me to make the mistakes. It will be a lot easier to go into law enforcement. It'd be a lot easier to not have a crazy German Shepherd and Border Collie and my girlfriend's dog over when we're over visiting. It'd be a lot easier not to have all that and to be in law enforcement. But my parents have been a big help and have been great. And even, with the family alone, with my cousins and my uncles giving me the space and the time to train with Nisha when we're out hunting is amazing. They always kind of given me a nice space to grow in. And I'm very fortunate, very thankful that I have that. Of course, my girlfriend puts up with she puts up with the dogs daily and me daily. So I'm very super thankful with her, and she's always been a big support in me and in supporting my career choice. And even I've been really blessed with the people that I work with. Spencer has been a big help with helping me with my dogs and helping me learn about dogs and supporting me and growing as a person and as a trainer. So I'm very thankful that I have such great family, good brother. He tells me when I'm messing up a lot, so that's good. I need that because I think you're always growing, you're always learning. And if you think that you know everything and you're the best, then what do you have to offer? Then I want to be able to be always growing and always trying to offer different things to people. So I'm very blessed that I have a great family who supports me and supports my kind of career change. Career changes are scary, and I might not even be fully done. You never know. You never know with life. Such crazy things can happen, and I'm just very thankful that I have such a good family, and even having you is to support me. Having you on your show is great support as well. It's good to get me out of my comfort zone and to help me kind of talk a little bit more, and that's definitely helped too. So I'm very thankful.
And then, something that's been really difficult in your family, we just want to touch base on this because, again, a lot of people in the Sioux Falls area are familiar with this story. You had a cousin that was injured in a boating accident this summer, and maybe just want to give an update or how people can find out how to kind of follow his story, because I've had some people ask about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Mitchell Wagner. It's a slow process when it comes to brain injuries. He's working really hard. We're all so proud of him. It's awesome seeing the updates that his mom posts, Melanie. She posts them on his Caring Bridge website. So you can just type in Caring Bridge and then it'll take you to their site, and you can just search for somebody, and then you can just type in his name, Mitchell Wagner, and she updates it kind of every day, or tries to do her best to update that. And she posts a lot of faith-based scripture, stuff like that too along the way. So we would really appreciate anybody praying for Mitchell or praying for his family, the Wagners in general. Would be really great, really beneficial. We'd love to have any sort of prayers for him. And he's fighting, that's for sure. We're all really proud of him and really proud of how hard he's working. And it's tricky with COVID, but he's working hard. So we're really proud of him.
Yeah. And, obviously everybody out there will be praying for him. And, Andrew, I can't thank you enough for your time. And again, I'd love to have you back and talk more. And, it's fascinating to me. And I know it's fascinating to a lot of people, the whole, because there's so many pets out there. And
oh yeah, there's so many. I mean, did you just get a new puppy? I think I saw a Facebook picture of your little little guy. So yeah, I mean,
she's I'm at a loss already. So we're gonna have.
Yeah, I like it. So hope I can help you out a little bit. And puppies keep you young. That's good for you, though. They keep you on your toes. So
I was thinking the other thing. I thought they were making me older.
Oh, it feels like that sometimes. That's for sure. But I would love to have an opportunity to come back. I would appreciate being able to speak again, and I appreciate just having me on here with such other great speakers. I've seen a few of your speakers as well, having some really really down to earth talks and discussions. And so I feel honored that I'm part of a show that can kind of interact with people and give a way to touch people in a good way, in a way that's kind of for free, and giving different ideas and opinions out there. I think it's really good.
I
And
appreciate.
yeah, and that's what, Higher Power Sports does that too, and that's amazing. The work that you do too. You have a lot to add on passion and success as well. So it's really cool.
Very, very fortunate. You mentioned earlier that, life can take you in different paths, and it took me a long time to get here. But I am living it out daily, and it's not all, even when you're living out your passion, it's not always easy. Lots of different things, reasons it's not easy, but it's so refreshing to wake up every day and know, what, I'm doing what I love. And so I'm happy that you get to do that right now. Andrew, you mentioned your faith, and strength, and put you on the spot again. Would you mind ending our conversation here in a prayer?
Absolutely, I would be honored. Take this off. Um, Dear Lord, thank you for giving us the ability to connect in a way so far away, and giving us the ability to share our ideas and our thoughts. Please be with those who are struggling emotionally and spiritually. Help them, help guide them through their path. Help them realize that the mistakes don't define them. The mistakes aren't the end all be all. Help them to work through those and to find the passion that you have in every one of us. And please continue to be with Mitchell and strengthen him in ways that only you can. And please help Tim with Higher Power Sports keep doing what he loves, and keep supporting him. Thank you very much. In the Lord's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you very much for your time, and we will do this again soon. You have a great day, and take care of those pups. Okay.
Absolutely. You too. Thank you for having me, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Absolutely. All right. We'll talk to you later.